A recent study discovered that 7% of women and 10.3% of men struggle with controlling their sexual urges, and it seems these percentages are increasing. Nowadays, TikTok is flooded with unexpected thirst traps. Instagram seems to have turned into a platform for explicit content, and we even have hookup apps readily available on our phones. Because of these, it seems like we're constantly overwhelmed with opportunities to feel sexually aroused all the time. So, what do you think exactly goes on in our brains and bodies when we're feeling horny? And why do some people seem to feel it more intensely than others? And do you also feel like our brains are always being taken over by intense feelings of horniness that is so hard to control? In this video, we'll look into the science of our sexual desires. Actually, instead of saying horny, scientists professionally use the term sexually aroused. Most of us might think that being turned on is all just about what's going on down there, but it's actually way more complicated than that. First, it starts with your brain processing information and your neurons getting fired up with desire. It happens anytime, like when you're scrolling through TikTok and come across a video of someone super attractive bouncing around. Then, it can also happen when you're walking down the street and someone catches your eye and suddenly your brain's like, hold up, is this sexy? Those examples are when your brain is doing its job, sorting through what you see, hear, or feel. When something catches your interest, your brain's neurons will automatically start firing up and send signals that'll make you feel all excited or turned on. The next thing that happens is arousal, but think of it more as your brain and body getting all fired up without you even noticing. You might start sweating and feeling super alert, and sometimes you might even notice your nipples getting a bit stiff. You don't have to get worried or shy because it's a natural body response to those feelings of excitement and desire. The third step is called incentive motivation, which is deciding whether you're going to act on the excitement you're feeling. Whether you're aware of it or not, you're weighing the pros and cons, like if you're thinking about getting closer to someone, you're also considering things like intimacy and whether it's worth the risk. It's about balancing desire with practicality and considering the potential outcomes of your actions. The fourth step is when your body starts showing physical signs of arousal. For guys, it might mean getting an erection, and for women, it could be their labia and clitoris swelling up. This stage is where things can get really intense and lead to orgasms. After that, there's the resolution. Once everything's said and done, your body will start to settle back down into its normal state. It's like after all the excitement, your body will need some time to chill out and return to its usual rhythm. All these steps are controlled by your brain and the hormones floating around your body. When you're feeling all worked up, certain parts of your brain will also start firing up, like the inferior frontal lobule, the parietal lobules, the insula, the frontal cortex, and the cingulate gyrus. It's your brain changing the pulling levers to make sure everything's running smoothly while you are sexually aroused. Now, the horny parts of your brain are firing up because they also control the release of hormones throughout your body. This adds a layer of complexity to being sexually aroused that's both fascinating and intricate. It's as if your body is hosting a huge get-together that makes everything feel extra exciting. The initial response of desire and arousal is primarily regulated by testosterone and estrogen. These hormones are conveniently secreted from the ovaries and testes of individuals. It's quite intriguing from a physiological standpoint if you think about it. There's even some research suggesting that men who are more prone to being sexually aroused tend to have higher baseline levels of testosterone, while women who experience higher levels of being sexually aroused tend to have elevated baseline levels of both testosterone and estrogen in their bodies. It's the body's way of being geared up for more action than usual. All these studies concluded by saying, once things get physical and our sexual arousal turns into action, hormones like norepinephrine and dopamine kick in and make everything feel really good. The hormone dopamine is usually released from the hypothalamus when we eat, and the hormone norepinephrine can make you feel all giddy, full of energy, and totally euphoric. But these hormones can also mess with your appetite and sleep, so if you're feeling sexually aroused, it might just keep you up all night. The impact of these hormones on the brain is also directly linked to reduced self-awareness and irrational behavior. That's why during sex, you might find yourself doing or saying things that later make you laugh and think, I can't believe I said that. It resembles a situation where cognitive functions become subordinate to the dominance of hormonal influences that result in behaviors or utterances during sexual encounters that may seem amusing later on. Then, orgasm happens when your central nervous system, hormones, and sensory stimulation reach a certain point. In women, this can lead to 1-second muscle contractions in their pelvic area, followed by 2 to 4 seconds of the muscles in the uterus and vagina contracting repeatedly. Orgasm is a chain reaction in your body that feels pretty intense. After orgasm, both men and women experience a release of serotonin, which can help stabilize mood and even give you a bit of a mood boost. That's why you often see people feeling all content and happy in movies after having sexual intercourse. It's your body's way of rewarding you with extra happiness. Oxytocin is also another hormone that's not directly tied to sexual arousal, but plays an important role in motivating us to take those feelings and turn them into action. Now, let's address the big question in this video. Does our constant exposure to sexually charged images in life and over the internet make the brain pathways fire more often? And is this a bad thing? Well, the answer might just be yes. Many of the brain regions and hormones involved in sexual arousal are similar to what happens when you binge on sweets, do actual cocaine, or watch a ton of porn. Extra dopamine can mess with the brain and cause changes in areas like the dorsal ventral cingulate cortex, which can eventually lead to issues with sexual arousal, which they call hypersexuality disorder in the academe. Hypersexuality is a condition wherein individuals exhibit changes in their brain and endocrine system that result in an excessive inclination towards sexual arousal. This is often attributed to prolonged exposure to heightened sexual stimuli, such as frequent arousal, masturbation, or sexual activity, which can induce structural changes in the brain. Despite its importance, it's still challenging to understand it fully and is frequently underreported and diagnosed. According to research, about 2 to 6% of people acknowledge experiencing hypersexuality disorder. It's more prevalent among men than women. Using Kinsey's previous diagnostic criteria, one way to see if you might have it is if you've had 7 or more orgasms per week consistently for 6 months straight. Another way to understand this disorder is through uncontrolled sexual behaviors like finding yourself unable to stop masturbating or having sex even when you want to. Hypersexuality typically starts around the age of 18.7 years, but it's often not diagnosed until people reach the age of 37. It's believed that individuals who experience this have engaged in so many sexual activities that they've actually changed their brains. Now, they find themselves feeling sexually aroused more frequently. Essentially, they've rewired their brains to constantly crave sexual excitement more and more. This is such an intriguing topic because every time we come across thirst traps on our phones, we're actually making changes to our bodies on a physiological level. And I believe it's important to have conversations about this. I hope this video has provided some insights and maybe encouraged you to look at things from a different perspective. And before we end, give this channel some support by clicking on the subscribe button and share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Stay updated on our upcoming content by hitting the notification bell so you'll always get notified on our next one. Thank you for watching, and until next time.